We are live on DSTV channel 421, Go TV 125, on all social media platforms and the Joy News podcast. Our headlines this are: Minority Leader lampoons President Akufo Addo for going mute on the grave unemployment situation in the country in the State of the Nation address.
Mr. Speaker, the unemployment situation in our country is at a critical point. Yet, we did not hear a word from our president on this matter.
We have details as President Akufo Addo claims without evidence that his government has saved Ghana 10 trillion Ghana cedis in what would have been paid as judgment debt. Also, Royal Kosi Hotel's human resource manager arrested in connection with CEO's death as a recent termination of his appointment before killing raises suspicion. More as Joy News is learning he left Jirapa for Takrady the day the CEO was killed. And Joy News get result as 19-year-old Akufo Addo, whose story was told some months ago, has undergone a life-changing surgery. Let's begin from Parliament, where Minority Leader Dr. Akesel Atoforson says President Akufo Addo's State of the Nation address is incomplete, having failed to touch on the unemployment issue in the country. The latest GSS survey painted a bleak picture about the country's unemployment situation. But the minority said the president failed to comprehensively announce a plan to tackle the unemployment challenge. More reaction from the State of the Nation address shortly. First, Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante has a wrap from the president's message.
This was President Akufo Addo's penultimate State of the Nation address. He will be expected to address MPs and the nation again later on in the year or the new year in 2025, when a new government is set to assume the reins of power from him. But the president spoke at length. Indeed, he spoke for more than an hour. And some of the key things President Akufo Addo spoke about had to do with the state of the nation in terms of security. He speaks about how so many countries in the sub-region are witnessing terrorist activities, but Ghana has been spared.
West Africa is under threat of terrorism and violent extremism, rapidly spreading southwards from the Sahel to coastal West Africa. We can no longer take the territorial integrity of our countries for granted. Indeed, many of our neighbors have already fallen victim and lost large portions of their territories to extremist groups. And Ghana, by the grace of the Almighty, is the only coastal state along the Gulf of Guinea that has so far not recorded a terrorist attack.
But the president zooms in on regional conflict, the chieftaincy conflict that he says has the potential of causing some major destabilization in the country.
That we continue to have so many chieftaincy and land disputes around the country, which tend to be breeding grounds for internal tensions and destabilization. Mr. Speaker, I must make special mention of the troubles in Boko.
2024 election being on the horizon, the president is assuring that as the executive president, his government will not do anything to jeopardize the name and the democratic reputation of the country.
A lot of the responsibility lies on the Electoral Commission to put the organization in place that will ensure that we have credible elections. Government is doing its part to make the work of the Electoral Commission go smoothly. A lot of responsibility lies on the political parties as well. And I hope that the parties recognize that their credibility is also on the line.
The president said, without providing any evidence, that his government, under the leadership of Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame, has saved the country up to 10 trillion Ghana cedis in what would have been paid in judgment debts.
The Attorney General has continued in a very effective manner the tradition under this administration of contesting every single litigation against the state, and has avoided the numerous judgment debts that used to be given against the state. The Office of the Attorney General, as a result, has saved the country over 10 trillion Ghana cedis. All the evidence is there.
The president has been assuring that the recent change at the finance ministry will stabilize the country's economic affairs.
One of which will be commissioning the Nana Adjumani Prempeh I International Airport in Kumasi and naming the recently commissioned airport in Tamale the Yakubu Tali International Airport of Tamale. Mr. Speaker, we stumbled, but we are rising again. We were bruised, but we are healing. We have recovered our footing. We have dusted ourselves off. And now we face tomorrow with confidence.
Well, when the president ended his State of the Nation address, the minority and the majority leaders slugged it out. We first heard from the majority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, who really spoke about how his side was ready to debate. Well, it appears the minority side are also already in debate mode, insisting that the president did not speak about so many things, including unemployment. You will recall that Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia sought to extricate himself from the problems of this government. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia said he was only the driver's mate. Today, the president said as the executive president, all responsibility in terms of how this government has done in office should rest with him. But the president, of course, will not conclude this speech without some jabs to the opposition NDC, saying that in 7 years, his government has done more than any NDC government in this country's history. MPs are set to debate the president's message on the state of the nation, as usual, is divided on partisan lines. Whilst the NDC believe the president said nothing of note, the MPP believe that the president has really said something in terms of laying the foundation in terms of what this government took over in 2017 and what it's been able to do now. Well, there were also cheers and jeers, depending on which side the people stood. Reporting for Joy News, Akufo Addo, Parliament House, Accra.
Now, the minority leader, Dr. Akufo Addo, said the president failed in his responsibility when he did not address the issue. Majority Leader Alexander Afenyo-Markin says his side is ready to debate the issue.
We are down, but we rise again under the able leadership he is providing and the future which is assured. Mr. Speaker, we are, by the practice of this House, ready to debate Mr. President's message. Considering the situation we find ourselves as a country, Mr. Speaker, we are ready to debate this message now. However, Mr. Speaker, as has been the practice, members would want to prepare. And I noticed that the minority leader was jotting down a lot of notes. I need to remind him that I have with me the 2014, 2013, and the 2016 State of the Nation Address. And all of these were full of lamentations. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't know what he was actually jotting down. But if it was a debate he was preparing for, Mr. Speaker, I want to assure him that we will face him with this optimism and remind him of the lamentations of 2013, 2014, 2015, and 2016.
Mr. Speaker, the Hansard will record me today.
Mr. Speaker, the unemployment situation in our country is at a critical point. Yet, we did not hear a word from our president on this matter. Mr. Speaker, out of 33 million population, only 11.3 million are employed. This number includes peasant farmers. Mr. Speaker, the difference between the 33 million and 11.3 million
is what I call ninja. No income, no jobs, no assets. I am shocked to the marrow to have noticed that our president, following the recent ministerial reshuffle, has increased the size of his government. Mr. Speaker, today we have a Minister of Finance domestic and a Minister of Finance international.
Now we have highlights of some specific areas in the president's 31-page address, and the head of our security desk, Emefa Apau, joins me in studio with a breakdown. So let's begin from the security and violent extremism angle.
Okay, so the president gives us two angles when it comes to security, both external and then internal. Maybe we start from external, and we talk about the fact that West Africa is under threat of terrorism and violent extremism, and thankfully Ghana is in the middle there without any form of attack. Thankfully, we better knock on wood that nothing like that happened. So there's been an alarming increase in chieftaincy and land disputes also around the country. That brings it to internal. But on the external, maybe I'll expand a bit more on some of the things that he raises about the fact that we are still adopting the see something, say something approach, and the fact that, of course, we are part of ECOWAS, the region, and all that, the things that we ought to do externally together with the other countries to ensure that Ghana remains as safe as it is. And then also coming down into internal, we've talked about the chieftaincy and land dispute. Boku was mentioned, but also government has quickened the retooling of security agencies. He talks about the fact that even the Ghana Police Service and what they've done with their offices, and hoping that others will emulate the example of what the IGP, Dr. Akufo Addo, has done in terms of the renovation of the Ghana Police Service. So the issue about Boko also comes up, which is the internal bit. The issue about the internal bit, and we know recently some 4 radio stations have been closed down in Boko as part of containing the situation in the area. So that is one of the things that we know that is being done in terms of ensuring that Boko's situation does not escalate, because he talks about it that it's become a magnet for other things to happen. In terms of people are concerned that it's also a way that we can have violent extremists joining in, because it's the war between, or should I say, the conflict between the Mampusis and the Kusasis, and the possibility that they can import people to join in that fight.
Which will escalate.
Which will escalate, and then there may be a spillover. So really, that's when it comes to peace and security, that's the main issues that we raised in terms of external and internal, in terms of how we can deal with the situation, especially we know that it's an election year.
So on the economy also?
Exactly. So on the economy, at least, thankfully, we've been hearing from the president for the very first time, taking responsibility for where we are in terms of what has happened under his administration. I've been hearing from the former finance minister, Setekbe, for instance, mentioned that even though it's belated, it's also refreshing to hear that he's now comparing his own record with that of his record, as against what we've seen over the period, where he compares his record as against that of the previous, which is John Mahama. So every performance indicator used shows that we have we've done more in these 7 years than in any of the 8 years under the NDC. And that's what the president is saying. And that the recent change in the leadership of the finance ministry will not affect the deal with the IMF. We've been hearing from the professors of finance on this, that is not the issue about personality, it's the issue about policy versus personality. So whoever it is that was leading it, we know that Kwesi Botwe started it, and then Setekbe took over, at least when we first went to the IMF.
That's an assurance from the president.
Exactly, that it will not affect it. But even though the minority leader, you heard him in Parliament mention that it appears we have an internal finance minister and an external finance minister in terms of the appointment of Ken Ofori-Atta and then Amin Adam. But the president says that will not affect it. Talks about inflation dropping from 54% in December to 23.5% in January. The macroeconomic indicators, he says, are pointing to the right direction as well. He talks about programs like LEAP, school feeding and capitation grants are all protected under the IMF conditions. So he's talking about the conditionalities and what will be affected and what will not be. Really, that's on the economy as well.
All right. Or on the judiciary also, he's been talking about.
Yes, he talks about the arms of government and the fact that we ought to continue to respect the 3 arms that we have. So with the judiciary, he talks about the Office of the Attorney General saving the country over 10 trillion Ghana cedis. And that's what is causing a lot of talk, is raising a lot of talk, really. I was wondering, could it be that the president was talking in old cedis
Well, probably because I overheard someone ask, "Oh, where is the money?"
Exactly. The evidence, really, we are yet to hear the evidence. But we'll be hearing from the Attorney General. We are told that in the coming days we'll get some form of evidence, because even during the speech, there were questions about what the evidence is, because we are the IMF for 3 billion. And if we've been able to save 10 trillion, what kind of judgment debts are these? And what exactly is it going to go into? Where is that money? And what exactly we'll do with it is what we would get to know in the coming days from the Attorney General when he gives us some answers. Also, he talks about residential units being built for the judges. There've been improved digitization in the court system as well. So really key issues when it comes to the judiciary. We'll get to talk about the legislature and then also the executive, which largely talks about. But it's an election year also, and he was heavy on issues about election, Carlos, and he says EC will ensure a credible and peaceful election. In fact, they must ensure, he says, and that the EC must work with political parties to address their concerns. Issues about IPAC, NDC concerns have come up, and then government will ensure that Ghana's reputation is not damaged come December 7th. Is that an assurance or is that a charge to keep? So that and more we'll get to know. Exactly. So these are the key highlights. Issues about energy also comes up. It's a 31-page report, and I'm sure in the coming days we'll get to digest it all right here on the channel.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure to see you. Pleasure to be with you.
Pleasure to see you too.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Thank you, Carlos.
Okay, moving on, some Ghanaians in Kumasi have also expressed their dissatisfaction with the government's performance in various sectors of the economy after President Akufo Addo delivered the State of the Nation address today. Now, the president, during his address in Parliament, touted his performance in office and the successes chalked by his government during his 2 terms in office. However, some residents in Kumasi believe his address failed to touch on their concerns.
He hasn't been able to meet my expectations. I was expecting more from him. Yes, as a leader, once challenges comes, we expect you to live up to expectation, right? And unfortunately, it has always been more of the complaints, allowing the factors to external shocks and all those things. But I think that's why you are elected as a leader. So we expect you to come up with innovative ideas and drive us out of this economic situation.
Well, my general expectations of the government has not been met. I must be very honest with you. And I don't think the NPP, the government itself, they know that they have not met expectations. Looking at the way they are trying to shield people from the perceived or the economic mess, that the way people are trying to hide or run away from it. Looking at the vice president saying his role is just an advisory and then his role is not constitutionally stipulated. If things were going on that well, I don't think they'll be making these excuses. The current state or the current affairs in Parliament should tell you that they themselves, they know that they have not met the expectations of Ghanaians.
Being a listening government comes with being proactive. You have to be proactive. When Ghanaians are asking for things to be done at a specific time, you do it at that time. But when you wait until when you feel like doing it, that is when you are not going to be rightly tagged as a listening government, but a government who feels like this is the time I want to do what I want to do.
To say it's on its right path will be relative. What am I comparing it to? Am I comparing it to some 2 years ago? Am I comparing it to 4 years ago, 5 years, 6 years ago? It will depend on what I'm comparing the current state of the nation to, and then I will say it is on the right. If I'm comparing it to President Akufo Addo's first term, I won't say it is on its right path because his first 4 years was good, very good than the last 4 years.
You're still watching JoyNews Prime here with me, Carlos Kalone. We have more after this break. Please stay. Welcome back. Now, traditional leaders at Gomua Fete in the central region have led an exercise to demolish ghettos in Liberia camp in Bujumbura. The exercise is to clamp down on criminal activities in the area. Now, the chiefs have expressed worry about the bad reputation associated with the Liberia camp. According to report, the ghettos have been a hideout for criminals terrorizing residents in the area. The chiefs therefore resolved to demolish the structures and relocate market women who have been trading on the roadside, impeding the construction of the Cape Coast Kasua Highway. Now, chiefs of Gumwa Budumburam, the chief actually, Nana Kojo Esel, in an interview on JoyNews, urged government not to intervene since pleas on the district assembly to help demolish structures at the camp 3 years ago fell on deaf ears.
They spoil my house. I got 4 children. This early morning, before I could make my mind, just see the chatter, before I could make my mind, everything just, I don't really know myself, I'm really confused. As you can see, I'm packing my things there now. I'm confused. I don't really know what to do. My children and everybody, we are confused. My sister, we just passed it this morning. We don't know. I'm going to throw my things before they throw everything out. Yeah, but if the market sell for our place, at least small, I make them give us a chance to pull some of our things out. Make them give us small, but they don't do nothing. I have been here for 35 years. Nothing I have to take. They break all. Nothing I have to take back to my 35 years. I have been here. Nothing I have to take. Nothing at all.
House. And it's not easy. It's not easy. See, the play I earn now, I don't know what to do. My things are in the house. I went to work. And my wife called me that, oh yes, they are breaking the place down. Before I came, they are already feeling breaking the place. Well, I don't know. I don't hear about it.
Children in Ghana, and they are breaking the houses down. It's not easy. Even the neighbor giving us chance to even pack our things there. See, everyone, my husband said, now every day you go to work. Our things there, they break it down. Nothing I will take from in our houses. Why? Why is this? Why is going on? Even why is wrong? And our thing, we will keep it from year to year. Everything has breaking down. Why? It's not easy. I beg you shouldn't do this to us. I beg you, the same way we in Ghana, the same way Ghanaians are there. The same way we in Ghana, the same way Ghana people have stayed in Liberia. So when you do good to us, they will also do good in Liberia. You please, you take heart. And we are the Liberia, we are one people, one flesh. One unity. You take heart. You shouldn't just conclude everything.
Away from the story, the human resource manager of the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel is the latest to be arrested in connection with the killing of the CEO of the facility, Eric Johnson. JoyNews is learning that the suspect was sacked from his position on Thursday, just days before Johnson's killing on Sunday dawn, sparking suspicion. Furthermore, investigators note that the suspect left the Jirapa community for Takoradi on the day of the killing, adding to the suspicion. My colleague Rafiq Salam, Upper West regional correspondent, joins me via Zoom with further details on this story. Rafiq, the police have made some arrests. Bring us up to speed on that particular development.
Carlos, the Thursday this incident occurred, that was February 11. One suspect was arrested. 3 hours later, there were 4 others that were also arrested, bringing the number to 5. And then later 2 more people were arrested, bringing the number to 7. And so these 7 people, they were profiled, and 2 were released on police inquiry bail, leaving 5. And so these were the 5 that were taken to the Ward District Court, where they were remanded into police custody and to reappear on February 28th. That's tomorrow.
Okay.
And then also the past few days, the police are still move on with their investigation. And then also we were told that they were able to arrest somebody that they believe could be the prime suspect in this Royal Cozy Hills Hotel gruesome murder, the person of Ilasa and Mahama, who was alleged to have been arrested around Takoradi, airlifted to work, and then for further investigations. And then our checks also revealed that he was also flown back to Takoradi again, and then brought back to work. And so tomorrow, the information that we have is that the 5 suspects will be appearing alongside Ilasa Mahama tomorrow at the Ward District Court. But let me also tell you that this morning, there was an attempt by the 5 suspects for them to be granted bail because they prayed to the Ward they prayed to the World High Court this morning for them to be granted bail. But the case was heard at the World High Court today, and then the World High Court refused to grant them bail. So tomorrow they are going to appear at the World High Court.
Okay.
At the World District Court. All
right, Rafiq, we know the youth of Jirapa originally planned a demonstration to demand justice. Has that protest been called off?
Initially, they wanted to do a demonstration, but after a thorough, reflection of the issue, they thought that the press conference will do. And so they did a press conference and then condemned the heinous act, and then also called on the police to speed up their investigations. But also one thing that they are telling the police is that they are open and they are ready to help the police, support them in any way for them to unravel the mystery surrounding the death of Eric Johnson.
Thank you so much. What can you tell us about security situation in Jirapa as we speak, especially around the hotel?
Security at the hotel for now has been beefed up. Just that the place is turning into a ghost town. They don't have many revelers as it used to be. But security, you can see lots of security men around Jirapa at vantage points. And then just some few days ago, there was a press conference that was held by the head of MUSEC and also who also doubles as the Jirapa Municipal Chief Executive, Lawyer Nicolas Oiri, talking about plans that they have put in place to ensure that the people of Jirapa and also people who work in this hotel and also revelers are safe. And so plans are they are keeping on to that plans, and then Jirapa for now there are a lot of security personnel around Jirapa, and so people are going about their normal duties. Their only difficulty or challenge they cannot comprehend is about the killing of Eric Johnson.
We are grateful. Rafiq Salam is our colleague from the Upper West region giving us update. Now, away from that story, 19-year-old Akufo Addo was forced to stay out of school for 2 years due to a waist pain. His hope of returning to the classroom as a science student is gradually coming through, as JoyNews reported on his plight 3 months ago. With the benevolence of the CEO of the Ghana Gas Company, Godfred, has undergone life-changing surgery, the life of 2 procedures, which will eventually give him his life back. My colleague at JoyNews, Adobe Asari, visited him at the St. Joseph's Hospital in Koforidua and tells us more in the following report.
Godfred was afflicted with a bone condition that hindered his ability to stand and walk straight. The second-year student of Mando Senior High School was forced to drop out of school due to his ailment. He needed at least 100,000 Ghana cedis to cover the cost of seeking medical attention. His story, first told by JoyNews' assistant editor Emefa Etiamwa Eli in October 2023, caught the attention of the CEO of the Ghana Gas Company, Dr. Ben Asante. After 2 months of clinical care, Godfred was admitted on 26th January this year to undergo the first of 2 surgical operations. It's been a month after his first procedure. The second is due in March this year. In an interview with JoyNews, Godfred spoke about the noticeable improvement in his condition. He was grateful to his benefactor.
After surgery, I'm happy. I feel pain. In times I will be fine.
So what are some of the things you couldn't do before the surgery that you can do now?
After surgery, I can use crutches to walk, and I can strengthen my leg, and I can walk far.
What do you have to say to the people who paid for the surgery and then JoyNews?
I will ask God to bless them.
His father, Joseph Addo, confirmed the positive changes he's noticed in his son's condition. He extended heartfelt appreciation to the sponsors and to JoyNews.
26 on the 29th, I do that. The doctor no surgery. The surgery so almost 24 hours.
The surgery was performed on January 29. The health workers really did well in taking care of my son. I have hope that he will be able to walk well after the second session of the surgery is done. I thank JoyNews for telling our story. I also thank the CEO of Ghana Gas for paying the hospital bills.
one no ba hobe video yan wade ba TV so ne de ombo anso Ghana gas company on penny oda no na de kunya no so be de wase ya minshira won omo abomode pa.
Georgina Batplanche is one of the healthcare professionals overseeing Godfred's care. She provided insight into the surgical process and subsequent recovery. She expressed satisfaction with Godfred's progress.
He wasn't able to walk upright or up straight. So we did our preparations for him for his scheduled surgery on the 29th of January, which was very successful. And then after surgery, he came back and he's been doing very well since then. Physiotherapy came in to take him through sessions of physiotherapy, and he's cooperated so well. And now he's been able to walk with a Zima frame. We are hopeful to discharge him this very weekend, and then he will be scheduled for a review in 6 weeks, and probably or hopefully come back for his next surgery or procedure. And we hope that it will also be successful.
Although progress has been made, Godfred's journey is not over yet. With aspirations to return to school, he needs additional financial support to pull through. Adobia Asaris reports for Joy News.
Now, flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has assured nurses and teachers of regulating their migration by securing contracts with countries in need of their services. By this policy, institutions responsible for training of the professionals will increase intake for surpluses to be exported. Now, the former president explains these professionals will return to the country following the expiration of their contract. My colleague Nana Yaojima toured the Savannah region with the former president, where he intended, the policy was explained.
In 2023, the Ministry of Health revealed approximately 2,000 nurses employed in the state and mission health facilities in Ghana left the country. About 1,400 nurses worked within the Ghana Health Service, while the remaining 600 were employed in facilities associated with the Christian Health Association of Ghana. Management of many health facilities in the country continue to lose staff on a daily basis. According to John Mahama, the country holds a chance in the export of health workers to other countries on fixed contract basis.
We want to increase the production of health workers and nurses, and we will employ them to work for us, as many as we can. But at the same time, we will sign agreements with other countries where we can post our nurses and health workers to go and work on fixed contracts and come back. And so under the Ministry of Employment, we will have a unit that is able to recruit nurses, make sure they are of the standard that they can work in international hospitals, and we will send them to go and work maybe for 4 years, 5 years, and then you come back. But we'll produce more so that we can also give them automatic employment in our own country.
In sustaining the policy, there is the need for adequate nurses to be trained for local health facilities and for exports. Mr. Mahama reveals the quota system in the training colleges will be eliminated for more people to be trained.
And so that is the reason why we have to open up the numbers. Because right now there are quotas. If you go to a nursing training college, they have capacity to employ more, but the government has said don't employ more than this number, because it's only this number we can take. It's the same with teacher trainees. You go to the training colleges, the colleges of education, they have capacity to take more. There was one of the colleges, more than 2,000 people applied, and they could take only 300. And so the remaining 1,700 will have to sit at home.
Meanwhile, he indicated the policy will be extended to cover teachers as demands for their expertise continue to soar across the world.
We could send them to go and teach outside, depending on the subject they do. English, chemistry, there are places where people are looking for chemistry teachers, physics teachers, general science teachers, and so on and so forth. And so we are not going to cap the numbers. We will open up so that anybody who is qualified to be able to train will have the opportunity to train. We'll employ as many as we can in our schools and in our hospitals. The excess, we will sign contracts with other countries. We will send you to go and work for 4 years. You go and earn dollars, you buy your car, you come back.
For Joy News, Nanayaoji reporting.
Now it's time for Voters' Voice from Aveno. Watch this.
If you say first, no, mitimi yitu asana mako adwuma, and then me work on half. Maka kire me remember say me kwa me the balance no ebe sende o. Ye mako homa sa, be ma enhwe yire ne masa. First no me yitu ho a, na me koma adwuma me tu moto a me ba madwuma mu. Ba ne say me work on 100 cedi a, me man no 40 50, me say na aka no. And kwaji say twe me sa, ansana balance na akọ.
I'm a Ghanaian citizen. Now we are now going to election 2024 election. Yes. But me part the feel say me person to my bar and other two parties na minimum so really on my way. The person me to my bar ma mu ba ko. Peaceful, serious. Manya sumdue since 8 years past former President Mahama regime. Manya peace up to 8 years. I mean, Ghana. I mean, yeah, Basabiansi or man we ama stay me da only live or man. Umsa man mu ayedin. Ah yeah, bread yeah. Umsa yeah bread or man mu ayedin. And so near maybe why I who say I'm penning for needed to aquam kakra ba emu pejaba. It is almost cost one man cost to con any mudia and himself sacre by my announcement. It's immediate 2024. I mean, him say, Brian Brenner tour a bit China say a back off from.
About so, I'm a Omba, Omasa, Ombayway, as no Ombatraswa, Anna Omula feed Ombayano, now Omo and yet sad in my and the man abanituano, I be all.
24 in idea. I do go. If you say you Funukrano, Omo Shaya Wareno, Omo Shayan, Sena and Renium by AC Livu, no Musawari, Nanipano, Onam Ankonam Crano, Nadi de Gray, Demano, or they go for Babacan or not in the worry. And in fact, now I need I do go. And then, I mean, come back to Mr. back to Bacono. Bacono from your mama, no. I don't know you're better than this man.
Okay, but I go for the Oba there, me who the wire, but Mamma should there. Also, on a buy blade in the money, quantum but I go for the buy the me who the wire putting.
This year, 2 year bump beside the man and people, I mean, say, and couldn't be able to my Bama, I'm my future, no. You believe you correct. I don't me issue. I'm feeling I'm to my body. I'm MPP for the next 4 years. I was say me feel say mom must have to be because some baby woman some grade them say oh mama who chane dey oh but any baby oh baby sorry oh baby anya Ghana nko na this time me feel say ya ho ye den e kire ye. Ti me wogidie wo mu say so for us ya tina o man mu in peaceful ne dey. Ya koso am tumi a 2024 no me say niam ba den e be sesa.
We'll return with showbiz. Please stay with us.